Okay. Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video that kind of explained the demand curve and the supply demand. I just felt like it would be helpful, maybe a little bit more helpful than just looking at the PowerPoint and stuff like that. I have given all my notes that I'm going to use to talk about this, and they are right here under the link for 3.02's lesson, demand notes. It's just a Word document. It's got a lot of information on it that I think will be helpful for you to complete the task for 3.02. Basically, what you need to know about demand is that it's how much of a product people are willing to buy at a certain price. Um, and in the demand scenario, demand and quantity have an inverse relationship. Okay, so what that means is if the price is low of a product, then the quantity is going to be high. On the other end, if the price is high, then the quantity demanded is going to be low. And that's known as the law of demand. So, and I mean, just think about it, okay? If iPhones go on sale and they're really cheap, more people are going to want to buy those and they're going to demand those. But if iPhones are super expensive, then not as many people are going to want to get them. They're going to try and go for something else because the price is super high. Okay, when you look at the demand curve, and let's look at this picture right here, the demand curve is going to start in the upper left-hand corner, and it's going to go to the lower right-hand corner. And here's something you need to know, because I think this tricks up a lot of people when they're working on this assignment. If the price changes, all you do is move along the demand curve. So, like if the price was 200 and it goes, and only the price changes, you go up or down. Okay. It does not shift the demand curve at all. It does not make a less of a demand or more of a demand. It only makes the quantity demanded change. And that's in these notes right here. And that's super important. Okay, so a change in price just causes you to move along the demand curve. It does not change the demand. It does not mean that there is less demand or more demand. It just changes how many of them are demanded. Okay, so let's talk about some things that actually do change the demand curve, which would either cause it to shift to the right or left. And those things are known as insect. Okay, and they're in those notes too. This can be helpful for you when you do your lesson. But it's just changes in income, the number of consumers in the market, the price of a substitute, the expectations of prices in the future, the price of a complement, and a change in taste or preferences. So like we said, when you change the price, you change the quantity demanded. So on the curve, and I want to explain this down here, on the curve, you're either going to go from point A to point B or point B to point A. Okay? When insect changes, so when one of these things right here changes, if there's an increase in demand, the curve is going to shift to the right. So what that means is shift to the right, the whole curve is going to move this way to the right. If there is a decrease in demand, that curve is going to shift to the left, so it's going to shift this way. Or I guess you could say up or down. Increase goes up because it does kind of look like things are going up. Decrease goes down. Okay, but changing the price, it only changes this. These little points right here. That's all that changes. Okay, now let's talk about some of these things that are talked about in insects. You should probably know what income is. It's basically how much money you have. Some things to know that normal goods are goods we buy with a higher income. And that's talked about in the notes right here. Okay, so this is pretty much most goods. So when you have a high income, when the money flows, and you pretty much, you go to the movies or you buy whatever really because you've got the money. Okay, inferior goods are goods we buy with a lower income. So this is going to be your cheaper goods. Maybe the off-brand of something that you would normally use, or maybe instead of buying something, you buy stuff to make it because it's cheaper, different things like that. Okay, substitutes are items that satisfy the same wants. Example, Coke and Pepsi. That may not be a good example because some of you may be anti-Pepsi or anti-Coke, but they're both dark sodas with a similar taste. You could also say gum, like Orbit and Extra. Okay, they both satisfy the same wants. Complements are items you usually buy together. Example, popcorn and a Coke. Okay, they go together. Pizza and a Coke. Crackers and soup. Like just different things like that. Things that go together, complement each other. Okay, and of course the number of consumers is going to be a physical number, and taste depends on the latest trends, news, what celebrities are doing, etc., etc. And there's a PowerPoint for you that shows the decrease and increase in demand. Like it says here, a change from point A to B would be a decrease in price. A change from point B to A would be an increase in price. Okay, if there's an increase in demand, it's going to shift to the right. A decrease is going to shift to the left. And that shows you those increase and decrease right there and talks about it. It's just more information on normal and inferior goods. Okay, now let's talk about these. These are the things that are important, and they are in the notes down here. This is going to be what helps you with that first task of 3.02 for sure. And make sure you pay attention and you read, because I've had this in the past. Some people have missed problems that if they would have just looked at insect and looked at this and the next page, they would have got them right. Okay, so an increase in demand, which means the demand curve is going to shift to the right. I'm going to go back to the picture and just pull up the information on my notes. So an increase in demand shifting to the right is going to happen when you have an income increase and you're talking about a normal good. Okay, so if the question says something like income increases, what's going to happen to movie tickets? Okay, the demand's going to increase because you have more income. Okay, income decreases with an inferior good, so something that's cheap. Okay, if you have an decrease in income, you're going to buy more inferior goods, so the demand's going to increase. The number of consumers increases. If more people are now wanting something, then the demand's going to be higher, so it's going to go to the right. A price of a substitute item, that should say decreases, I'm pretty sure. No, price of substitute item increases. I'm sorry, I'm getting my complements and substitutes mixed up. Okay, so for example, if the price of Pepsi increases, what's going to happen to the demand for Coke? The demand for Coke is going to increase because people are going to get off their high horses and realize Coke is better, and they're going to start buying it. I'm just kidding. Okay, consumers expect the price of a product to rise in the future. So if it looks like we had a bad season for a certain type of fruit, and so we think there's not going to be as many of them next year, or next season, whatever, more people are going to buy them now because they're not going to want to pay higher prices for them in the future. Okay, the price of a complement decreases. So let's say the price of popcorn decreases, more people are going to buy popcorn. They're also going to want to buy Coke to go with it. So the demand for Coke is going to increase. And consumers desire more of a product, okay? If consumers want more Hunter rain boots, they're going to demand them. They're going to buy them, so the demand's going to increase. Okay, now let's talk about this decrease in demand, shifting that curve to the left. And it's basically just the opposite of everything up here. Income decreases with a normal good. So if I'm not making as much money now, and a lot of people aren't making as much money now, what's going to happen to movie tickets? Nobody's going to want to buy them because we're trying to save our money. So the demand decreases. Okay, income increases with an inferior good. Okay, if you have more money, you're not really going to buy those cheaper goods anymore because you can afford the name brand stuff. I'm not going to buy Great Value because I can afford the Jif peanut butter or the Maxwell House coffee. So the demand for the inferior good is going to decrease. The number of consumer decreases. If you have less people, then you have less demand. The price of a substitute item decreases. If the price of Pepsi decreases, more people are going to go buy Pepsi instead of Coke because it's cheaper. Consumers expect the price of an item to fall in the future. So if something's really expensive right now, but they think, maybe in a couple months the price is going to lower, they're not going to buy it right now, so the demand for that's going to decrease. The price of a complement increases. If popcorn gets more expensive, people aren't buying it, so they might not be buying Coke as much anymore. the demand for that decreases, and then consumer desires less of a product. This is basically the consumer doesn't want it anymore, so it's going to decrease. Okay. Let's look at just a couple of these. I'm not going to do all of them because I'm not going to baby you. But I will just kind of go over a couple of these, maybe if this will load, and just kind of maybe explain them a little bit. And so hopefully that'll help you to understand kind of how to do it. Unless it doesn't download. There we go. Okay, use insect, use all this stuff to support your answers. Okay, and I'm just going to be honest with you. That letter E, there's only one of these where it's no change. And I may actually do that one for you. Okay, so I'm going to do the first three with you. So A and B are just there's a change in price. Price decreases from A to B, or it increases from B to A. Okay, C and D have to do with the demand. Demand increases, demand decreases. And E, there's no change. Okay, the nation is experiencing a severe drought with no sign of relief in the near future. So what is going to happen to umbrellas? What's the demand? What's going to happen to umbrellas there? Give you some time to think. It's going to be D. There's going to be a decrease in the demand for umbrellas because we don't need umbrellas because it's not raining. Okay, to help sell umbrellas, stores offer a 50% discount. I'm going to write that answer in so you'll just know. Sorry. Okay, so to help sell umbrellas, stores offer a 50% discount. So what happens to umbrellas? Okay, that's where your price decreases. So it's going to be letter A. Your price goes from A to B. They're half off now. Okay, it doesn't change the demand for umbrellas. It doesn't make people want them more just because they're half off. Okay, all it does is just change the price of umbrellas. So now they're cheaper. Okay, and then E, the cost of producing umbrellas increases. I just told you that answer. It is E, and it is the only one that is no change. Because it doesn't change the demand for umbrellas just because the production costs are more. That would affect the supply that the producer puts out in the market, but it doesn't affect the demand. So you have answers 1 through 3. So if you get them wrong, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to hunt you down, and I'm going to lecture you about why you need to pay attention and watch videos. You got 4 through 10 to do on the rest of them. And like this gives you the scenario, and then this right here, it's asking what happens to this. So like this, the price of Xbox game consoles is reduced 50%. So what's going to happen to the demand for Xboxes? So if you have any questions, seriously, these notes will probably help you just because I kind of condense everything and put it right there for you. Email me if you have any questions. And also, if you want me to come meet you face-to-face at school to explain stuff like this, I will. This is kind of a tough course, so sometimes it is easier just to hear things in person or to hear things explained rather than have to read stuff. So best of luck. Don't forget this is due Sunday night. You don't get an extension just because I'm just now putting up the video. You all wait till the last minute to do your work anyway, so don't even try that. But really, email me if you have any questions. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Have a fantastic weekend.